Hello, everybody. Welcome back to part two of tonight's, as we record, Football Uncensored podcast with myself, Rob Kirton, and John Sitton. Just want to quickly pick up the little thread we were doing at the end of part one, which was discussing the appointment of Thomas Tuchel as England manager and the points that have come off from that. If anyone hasn't seen it yet, please do. We were talking about the success or not, as the case may be in recent times of English managers. We mentioned Harry Redknapp winning the FA Cup 2008, which is the last domestic trophy. Howard Wilkinson, the last English manager to win the top division, and that was before football was even invented, because that was before the Premier League, 91-92. And I say that with tongue in cheek, obviously, as I'm very much a traditionalist. The one we didn't get to was the last Englishman to win any kind of a European trophy, and slightly ironically, that was with a European club, and it was Sir Bobby Robson winning the Cup Winners' Cup in 1997 with Barcelona. John, I know you want to pick up a little bit on that
Yeah,
point.
so really, if you don't get the top jobs, or you don't get a chance, any sort of longevity, like looking at the documentary, he was given his head, Wilkinson, to build and put the pieces together that he thought were necessary, with the backing of people at Leeds. Then you're not gonna crack it and win anything. Um, the only thing I would say, even where he was concerned, for quite a long time, Bobby Robson, they were, for some reason, we crucify our own talent. He was vilified by the press. After, I think it was might have been a particularly bad European Championship. Where
88, was it?
we got shredded by Holland, that one. And
Yeah.
uh, then after that, Venables, um, using his off the field business activities as an excuse to get rid of him, and then Oddle with regards to his observations on religion and whatever, reincarnation, as an excuse to get rid of him. And then if you look at bit like between the two a little bit, the manager that followed, he spent as much time on the front pages as he did on the back pages for his private life. So what's the difference? I mean, what is it like? The boy out of Arlo and the boy out of Dagenham, not sexy enough, obviously. You know what I mean? In terms of, and which I disagree.
Mm.
It comes down to the legacy you leave, in how profound you are and what you teach the players. And Terry Venables in particular, just in closing, was a very highly innovative coach, and a very revered coach and well respected. That's all I can say. But we'll wait and see. All we can see is just wait and see what happens. That's all we can do now. You know what I mean? Just wait and see when. What I will predict is, despite his diplomacy and feel good factor for the job, and the only one who was up for it, and blah blah blah, and his trade. If he don't get off to a blistering start, well, I mean, to be honest, he'd probably get, like they all have. You know what I mean? He'd get a bit of a leg up, because normally in England qualifying groups, we tend to get tantamount to a bye. Then we go
Yeah.
to the World Cup and we get another bye. And that's not arrogance. That's the same belief as other top footballing nations have. They're expected to get out of the group, and they do. Inevitably, we do. So, yeah, once he gets to the thing, and in USA, Canada, and Mexico, then we'll see whether it had that second star. But we've been over it in episode one. I'm not going to repeat myself. We're here to do a quick review of the Premier League,
Yeah.
as was over the recent weekend.
Yeah. Just to sort of link the two episodes, we've got, as like John says, we do a little bit about the games over this weekend. Out of the 20 Premier League clubs, didn't quite mention in episode one, there's 3 English managers. So that could tell you a lot about what you need to know about what John was discussing in episode one. Obviously, they're Sean Dyche, Everton, Eddie Howe, Newcastle, who we spoke about in episode one, and Gary O'Neill, who is the only team propping my club up from bottom of the league at the moment.
He'd be all right, though. He'd be all right. They've had one of the worst starts in terms of how tough it is.
Unlucky yesterday.
Very unlucky yesterday. few stewards really with regards to the build up of one of the goals and whether or not another thing with the goalkeeper being impeded. What I will say is the response from City and how much they wanted it. I thought they were unbelievable, magnificent. And you look at the togetherness in terms of how they all celebrated. They're going to be a tough nut to crack. I suspect it'll be the usual suspects running for it. City, I just think like they looked like their team spirit looked unbelievable, and they showed a lot of courage and they went for it, and they really it just goes to show you what I said in my book. Sometimes it's down to that who wants it the most. It's not just about like the best 11 players or whatever. It's who wants it the most. They showed that they really like wanted to try and get a winner, and when they did, it was like almost like a massive explosion of relief and just like, you know, togetherness and spirit, and it showed how much it meant to them. Just the sheer will to try and win and get a result out of it. But yeah, probably you can look at it and think he's a bit hard done by, Gary O'Neill. But then I look at it now on paper, it looks like, as opposed to like a really difficult start. You know, fixtures, maybe they should be looking to pick points up from, because it'll be teams just above or in and around them. So, you know, your Ipswich, your Palace, your Southampton, your etc. You know, I mean, they've got to start looking to pick points up from now, or they really will be banging trouble. But I'm quietly confident they will. I think it's a pretty decent side, particularly going forward.
Well, to be fair, we've championed O'Neill on here in the past, and with justifiable good reason. Still, I think I've got a slightly more selfish motive this season. There's obviously Southampton that I want to finish out of the bottom three, and I'd rather O'Neill was below us than above us. But I'm with you. I still rate Gary O'Neill. He has had a bit of a crappy start.
Yeah.
Just before we move on from the City game, if indeed you want to, we can carry on with it. What do you make of the winning goal? I mean, I know VAR analysed it for. I'm assuming, because I've not seen the game. I've just seen a little bit of the report, so I'm assuming it was for either or both of offside or impeding the goalkeeper on Bernardo Silva's part. Was it?
Yeah, he was just in his eye line. I think he's entitled to do that. That's why they give it. You know what I mean? He didn't do anything fair. He stood on him, but then as the cross came in, he sort of came off, because it's the sort of thing you coach to do. As a coach, you would coach a player to do it, and I've been coached myself to your starting position. It's not where you start; it's where you end up. And then he'll either come off straight or he'll come off at an angle. And if he's in the guy's eye line, that's all part and parcel of set pieces. The goalkeeper's job to come out and be physically imposing. Who's the guy I was with at Gillingham? He coached for Ireland. Goalkeeper. His name's gone out of my head. He used to say, "Come when." Huh?
Pat Scully?
No. He come to us at Gillingham. Me and Brucey, we used to really get on together. But he used to say, "Sits, if I caught it, he should get out of the way, because when I come, I'm going to come with violence." And he did. You know what I mean? So that's how a goalkeeper's got to be. And so I think it's a great attitude. Well, I just thought you look at it, he made some good saves, shot stopping and all that, but set pieces, he looked very suspect. And it weren't a couple of them, the ones where he struggled, they weren't even particularly a long way. His starting position needed to be bolder, and he can get in and jostle whoever's standing on him if he wants, and then come and make it his. That's all part of a goal should be part of a goalkeeper's makeup and remit. And it was a fantastic header from start. I've actually had him in the back of the cab. Lovely guy, with his wife and children, John Stones. Yeah, when they came for a visit to London. Yeah, lovely guy. But yeah, I think they'll be all right. Your mob, very suspect at the back.
That's kind.
Good enterprising play going forward. As I've said many times on this podcast, over 52 podcasts now, suffering from a severe bout of ideology. And it's all very well rolling it out and playing this and playing that way and playing. You've got coaches who are pep light, and you've got the players who are not up to the standard of the players that are under the real Pep. You know, you got all this, like I saying about Wenger coming in, changing the way people. Well, he didn't really. He only changed Arsenal. The rest made their own mind up because Malcolm Allison was doing what Arsene Wenger achieved in terms of how players should live. 96, so approximately 20 years before, 21 years before, right? Well, it's the same with Pep. They say he's come in and changed the way people are approaching the game and playing the game. Well, to me, it looks like it's just five-a-side football. What you call just, and there's too many players who are out of their depth, and I don't know how they coach it or how they try and coach it. But if, like I've said before, there's too many people getting caught and punished for it. And if they're not careful, Southampton could fall into that category. And then when you look at the defending for the thing, it probably taken a bit of credit away from the guy they bought on who played wide right, who should be starting a lot more games, by the way, for Leicester. He came on and changed the game. I thought his passing was superb. Harry Winks. Yeah. So that sorted that out. Blatant penalty to pull on Vardy. Had no choice to send him off because it prevented a goal scoring opportunity. But your manager's got to be careful. What they do, Rob, they do the thing in terms of the playing style when then they do the moribund grey platitudes. They try and stay grey, and then they come across well to the media, which means they'll come across well to other directors, and they end up yo-yoing between the Premier League and the thing. If it means staying on the merry-go-round, good luck to him. But if you ain't careful, you'll be back down where you come from.
Yeah, I feel you're probably right there. We'll see as the season develops. So I'm not giving up just yet.
No, it's too early. It's too early. But it will start to take shape now towards the end of this month and the movement into Christmas. Yeah.
Obviously, there were 2 games yesterday. One tonight that's just finished. That was Forest Palace tonight. Forest beat Palace 1-0, I think. I think it's over now. But yesterday, the other big game was Liverpool-Chelsea. So
fantastic game of football that was. I thought the pace of the game was fantastic. It probably needed someone. I happen to believe it at the moment. It's the only way that Chelsea can play if they're gonna achieve it. But what they showed yesterday, I was saying to the people around me today, they've got to show their credentials if they're going to go to Liverpool and all that, and they almost did. What they not quite in terms of winning the Premier League. I happen to believe the same as what I believed last year. The biggest threat to City will be Liverpool, though Liverpool let me down last year. That was because Klopp let the cat out of the bag too soon. And I think if it dropped off a few percent when they knew he's not going to be the governor anyway. They tried to go out on a high, and they achieved some magnificent performances and great eyes. And then the other ones that were like substandard. Yesterday, the pace of the game was phenomenal. Like I say, I think it's the only way that Chelsea can play. They're blessed with a lot of pace. I think they're probably getting back into similar things where the thing's evolving with the 3-4-3 thing, maybe, unless I've misread it. What I weren't happy with was the embarrassing defending where similar to the Arsenal guy that got sent off, similar to the Newcastle goal conceded. Centre halves marking A on the wrong side, B not giving themselves a yard and a half, and then C probably in the wrong order, reacting immediately when someone's head goes down to address the ball, whether it's from a free kick or from play in general. I'm just saying to my missus, look at this. This is meant to be Premier League centre back. This is meant to be Premier League defending. And Spurs again, the same guy. If you look at the West Ham goal, that Udogie, I think it's an embarrassment to professional football at that level. He's defending, and that was the thing that leapt out at me. Not because I'm an ex-defender, but I'm just thinking to myself, well, if is it being coached? If it's being coached and the penny's not dropping, how comes they're getting paid so much and they're worth so much in the transfer market when these are basics? You know what I mean? I'm looking at Arteta, it was an accident waiting to happen. Well, if it's an accident waiting to happen, what you've got to try and do is prevent the accident from happening. And he should have been barking at the players all the time. You know what I mean? Like I used to have me, sit, shuffle over, you mark on the outside, mark on the, and then that goal, the one of the Liverpool breakaways, the one where he got booked for pulling the geezer down. I'm thinking, what's he doing now? He's near enough. He's near enough. He could almost hold hands with his centre back partner, and the geezer's already making a thing into the channel when he should have been over, marking on the outside. Then the other centre back should have been shuffling over, right? When he got pulled down for the booking. Very quickly, if you wanted to highlight it, it would be the Brighton goal against Newcastle. I think a free kick was given, and the ball, boom, 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 and then it stood still, and then the guy who had the foul committed against him, he started to jog away. He's obviously said, Lewis Duncan said, get out of the way or put it down or leave it. And he's just, as he's addressed the ball, he's pinged a great ball onto Welbeck's chest. I think he took it on his chest, got it down, right? So you look, you're thinking to yourself, what is going on here with this defending? First of all, right, when the foul's committed, right, you know it's a free kick to the other side, whether it's a free kick or a corner, right? In this case, a free kick. It should be, as a defender, alarm bells going off in your head, claxtons sounding, headlights flashing, right? Where should I be? What should I be doing? Who should I be marking? While at the same time, if you've got anything about you, like I did, while you're doing your thing, you're bossing other people to get in and screen the front. You tuck in, get in here, get tight. If I go Rip, make sure you're dropped out. You get in here, tuck in here, leave him. No, you come in here and screen the front of him. You're bossing other people. As he's about to address the ball, you drop out, right? So you do your little backpedaling and drop out, assess the flight early, make a decision, which I've said in other podcasts, put a name on it, and then deal with it, right? The ball was in the air. He's took it on his chest, then on his laces, then rolled it sideways, and then got a give and go. And then the fullback, right, by that time, he's realised it's too late. He's been done with a 1-2. And he ain't been strong enough. You know, Welbeck's just gone, get out of the way, son. And slotted, right? Well, first things first. If you do all of what I said, while the ball's in the air, that should lead you doing what is absolutely imperative. That's first contact on the ball. If you don't make first contact on the ball, and he does, you've got to at least make his control a little bit uncomfortable. So he can't go chest, laces, roll it, you know, give and go, and then he's in on. You can't have that. I thought the defending was diabolical, schoolboy defending. And then you've got the strength issue with the fullback who came over and thing. So they're the things that leapt out at me in a few of the games. Just basics. And what was nice, Rob, was when just to reiterate what I said in the first episode, when you got a Champions League winning manager in Benitez and a league saying about small details and about rehearsing during the week on the training field what you're going to go through in a game. But for me, it was a massive, refreshing reinforcement of what I've always done and conducted myself to do. And you understand what I mean? And I think on this occasion, it was about not allowing yourself to get done on the break when you're probably going to achieve a draw. It looks like you're going to. I think it was the excuse me. I think it was the Wolves City game. And the geezers run and someone's got underneath him, made a great tackle. They've gone bomb and they've hit him on the rebound, led to the winning goal. Led to the corner that led to, or the free kick that led to the winning goal, or the corner that led to the winning goal. That's when you've got to play the professionalism's got to come into it. They now call it game management. Okay, but it's just shit, just professionalism. Running or passing the ball into the right areas, making sure you've got plenty of bodies behind the ball so that while you're keeping the ball, okay, you can come out and check out the other side, rather than have a wasteful shot or an hit and out cross, and then inevitably what happens, the other side, they get possession with a goalkeeper or a clearance or a thing, and they do you on the break, and then you realise what you should have done because you've been punished for it. And these are little things where you can put on drills like I did. So, okay, you come at the end of a practice match, go, okay. And it's I used to say exactly the same thing as what he said on the telly last night. You're winning 1-0, there's 10 minutes left. Let's see how you defend. Right. And then that would set the session up. And then you can come in as people start making wrong decisions. That's when you come in and do your coaching. In the case of Arteta, he should have catered for, especially with their disciplinary record, right? That's the third sending off in nearly as many weeks, right?
Yeah.
He should be doing sessions to cater for what happens if you go a man down. Now, it might only be for 5 minutes where someone's gone off to get treatment to an head injury or whatever, right? Same happened with Man United. Funny, it's just come into me, right? This is what happens if we're a man short. We're not going to make a substitution, but someone's injured. So I'd even take a player off, on the training field. So you just going to have a breather, relax, do your warm down, do a few stretches, you're done for the day. Right, we're going to play 11 against 10. We've had a man sent off or a man's had to go off injured and receive treatment. He's getting his eye stitched. Right, how are you going to deal with it? All this stuff should be done. And I don't know if it is. I don't know if it is. All the stuff I called for years ago, it's funny how it's all being implemented. Set piece coaches, specialist defensive coaches, and midfield coordination coaches. You always had a goalkeeping coach, but I don't know what to say. They're either doing it and the players are not up to it, or the players are just not listening. They're going out there trying to play Hollywood football and be playboys. You know what I mean? In the sense of the word, getting noticed on the football field, but they're getting noticed for the wrong reasons. I don't mean a playboy in a club or on a yacht. I mean like they're playing it like playboy football. When the ones that are professional and grind it out, they're the ones that will be there or thereabouts at the end of the year.
Well, if Mikel Arteta isn't or wasn't doing sessions based on 10 versus 11, he should be now, shouldn't he? Like you say, that's their third sending off this year. I think there was a stat come up on Match of the Day. Arsenal have had the most red cards, and they plucked a date out of the sky. I forget what it was, but they were.
Yeah.
Point being, whatever date it was, Arsenal, I think, were 5 or 6 red cards clear of the nearest other club. So this time it's okay. It did cost them against City. It cost them 2 points. So another very late John Stones goal, I believe it was, against Arsenal for City. But this weekend it's cost them their first defeat of the season, 2-0 to Bournemouth, who arguably, from the highlights I saw, were fairly good value for it.
Yeah, they were. I mean, Arsenal looked everything off the pace, didn't look at it. They had a bit of a weakened side in a couple of respects, but again, I'm looking at the defending, and you just think to yourself, these are basics. Do you know what I mean? And apart from anything else, if you know that they've got pace, what they're going to try and do is if you want to get the ball wide, you bring it in narrow first, right? Or if that's not working, right, and you're up against a very disciplined side, right, who have got a good shape, then what you've got to do is you've got to move the ball from side to side very quickly before they can shuffle over, right? And then when you do, maybe isolate, right, boy? If you do, sometimes you can wriggle down the side and start to do damage, right? The other thing is, if they've got pace up front, you know what's going to happen. They're going to try and bring you in towards the ball, right? So that there's plenty of grass in behind. So there's plenty of the pitch, plenty of space for someone to just clip it in or fade it in or roll it down the side or dink it over the top, right? So I don't get it, playing that close to the halfway line and at the same time getting caught on the wrong side, whereby you've got to wrestle the geezer to the ground. I mean, and not only that, it was a basic get out ball. I remember watching him once, Pat Rice. It was brilliant. He went, this is your fullback ball, right? This is your bread and butter fullback ball. And then he lent it it was a demo, like he lent it into the wing and got it back. And he just stood a fantastic ball, faded it in the air, right? And dropped it in the channel. And as in the demo, like the specimen session, the geezer's bending, he's running. The ball's just dropped over his shoulder right down the side of him. It was fantastic. Well, if you know that's going to happen, you've got to be marking on the right side. You don't start getting involved in like WWF, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you now, he was lucky. And all I watched him off. If you look away from the ball, the one for the set piece, which was a brilliant set piece, but not a new one. If you look at Rice at the beginning of it, he was marking very well, marking correctly, marking appropriately, right? So a yard off the guy, sideways on, waving his head, as I used to say, wave your head, keep checking your marking. Now all of a sudden he's just got hold of him and done a bear hug. And I'm thinking, if that ball don't come in along the deck and get flicked for the geezer to come in and finish, that's the penalty in waiting. So these are all little details, and like they're nonsense, really. Like the sending offs were all nonsense. They weren't for violent conduct, really. What was Rice kicking the ball away after thinking he was fouled? Getting at it with one, and then they got the free kick, and he just went like that, has nudged it away as if it's silly, ridiculous sending off. Like yesterday, ridiculous sending off can all be avoided, you know.
Or maybe yesterday that corner or free kick, wherever it was, I think it was a corner that led to the
corner.
Goal.
Yeah,
they going by your two brief stories there, sound like they needed Pat Rice, not Declan Rice, on the pitch.
yeah. And not only that, you know, you look at the thing and all jumping on the set piece coach. It's like the England one, you know, with a roll to the side, the dink to the back post, the header or the volley back across, and then everyone flooding in, caving in on the 6-yard line, and we get a side foot finish. That's circa 83, Dario Gradi crew. Before that, Dario Gradi, when I was a schoolboy at Chelsea, roll, dink, back across, everyone cave in and flood and get a surface to it. That was an England one in a championship, right? That one, no, and he worked under Dario Holland, so that might have been where he saw it. It's like the one yesterday, but not a new. That's not a new one, and it's like I've always said, it's about trying to catch people on the up, half asleep, because there's no really, when you delve into it, there's no real formation that hasn't been tried. There's no real patterns of play that hasn't been tried. There's no real defensive strategy that hasn't been tried, although a couple were invented, particularly again by Terry Venables. And there's no real set pieces that haven't been tried. What it is, some people just put a slightly different slant, different interpretation on them. And then, you know, they're revered as you know, there's some like master set piece coach.
Yeah,
but it's still, nevertheless still good to watch. And you know, the thing is, it's got to be executed. And what I will say is they executed superbly, but particularly the Bournemouth one, it was fantastic.
Yeah, look, you say you still got to execute it in live gameplay, haven't you? And they obviously did it very well.
Very quickly, Rob, from an
Yeah.
Arsenal point of view, I don't understand because what it is, you have your principal markers, right? What we used to call the principal markers, so that'd be your honey monsters, right? And I would probably be just average height now. So you like what they got at the Arsenal, you're 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" honey monsters. They would mark their honey monsters, right? There will be your principal markers, right? Then you'd have people, someone on the post, maybe someone screening the front if you know the opposition work the near post. So you want someone in front, screening the front to try and attack the first ball. And then you'd have people zoning. Well, the people who were zoning could do both jobs. They could do the zoning, they could screen the principal markers, and when that ball came in and the geezers flicked it, and then the geezers come in on his left foot and put it in, didn't see for the life of me why an Arsenal player or two get out the traps double lively, like as if like a whistle's going off in training, you're doing sprints, get out the traps, like, and then bust the gut to get there and get your body in line with the ball and get a block on. It should have been at least one, if not two, converging on him to get a block on it. It was all too easy, but the execution was masterful.
One thing I know we're sort of sticking on the defensive point of things, but one thing I've seen, to my lesser trained eye, obviously, you're talking about the marking at set pieces.
Yeah.
Not when crosses are coming in off open play, but corners or free kicks that are that are going to get put into the box in some shape or form, especially aerial. I've seen a lot of defensive players marking the attacking players that the size different. It doesn't seem right to me. To use an extreme example, and in fairness, I don't think I've seen Newcastle do it, but you got Dan. I'm using Dan Burn at Newcastle as the example because he's about 6'7", and he got Tino Livramento, the right back, who got out muscled by Danny Welbeck for Brighton's goal, as we
Yeah,
said earlier.
yeah.
It's just to use them as a height differential example. I've seen quite a few teams marking defensively where they've had their version of Tino Livramento marking the 6'2", 6'3" centre half or centre forward.
Yeah.
Because he's in their area, and you've had the strapping centre half, if you like, marking the little midfield playmaker, and I'm looking at it thinking, what?
Maybe that's management now. Maybe that's management now. They're all so laid back and political and grey moribund platitudes, and don't say too much controversial. Whereas when I did it, it was rehearsed on a Thursday, reinforced on a Friday, reinforced and rehearsed again on a Friday, I should say, reinforced on a flip chart in a hotel on the Saturday after your pre-match meal or before your pre-match meal, and then pinned up on the board on Saturday an hour before kickoff. So it's ingrained in here, until the next fixture. You know what I mean? But then as the season goes on, you get to know who's dangerous and who ain't. I'll tell you, a classic one I saw was the Calvin Phillips. He was come up to the geezer's shoulder. He was marking someone at the weekend, and he come up to his shoulder. So I don't know who's saying who marks who, but I just think to myself, well, it's something. This ain't a fair fight.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I'm making.
It's all about preparation, Rob. It's all about preparation, and again, what he said last night: preparation and repetition and revision, all the stuff that I was found guilty of and accused of. So maybe that's the thing, you know what I mean? Let them make their own decisions. And one thing, when they've done a documentary on one of them, the geezer's saying he never heard anything about the England job, and when he was coaching, he was saying to the players, find a way, find a way, find a way. Well, maybe they can't. Maybe you need to come in and show them. And,
exactly.
not be coach reliant, but every now and again, it's nice to enlighten someone, teach them something, make them aware of something they weren't aware of before, and then you've done your job, and then they'll end up doing a better job.
Well, to coin a phrase, you said, fail to prepare to fail, isn't it? That's the phrase. Seems pretty apt. We're in the last 5 minutes again, shot by as per. You mentioned Calvin Phillips doing a bit of a little and large marking job for Ipswich, who he plays for now.
Yep.
And it kind of neatly underscores and bookends our 2 episodes. That game was Ipswich versus Everton. Everton managed by Sean Dyche, who's the third of the 3 English managers who in the Premier League, and the only one we haven't mentioned yet directly in this episode, or the last one. So to conclude, let's go with the Ipswich game against Everton. 2-0 Everton. Everton unbeaten in the last 3 or 4, I think, starting to show, after a sloppy start, starting to show a bit of recovery.
I'll be honest with you, I should have had a Yankee, because I was advising when I went and had a bit of fish and mushy peas on Friday. I was talking to the chaps in the fish shop, and no, I'm not gonna. I said, look, here's your thing, right? Get on Everton, because the geezer knows, he's got the know-how, and he's got the what I call the dice factor, which should see him through, because he's tried and trusted. He's had that longevity in the Premier League, knows what it takes to win football matches, and he cuts his cloth accordingly, which suits Everton down to the ground at the moment, right? I said they'll beat Ipswich, right? I said Spurs to beat West Ham, and that was their main contentious issue is with Spurs being unreliable, blah, blah. I said, well, listen, they won the first 5 or first 6. They had a blip against Brighton. I said, but what they'll do, they'll beat West Ham. So I said, because West Ham are all over the place. And I think it's be careful what you wish for now. He hasn't got off to anywhere near a decent start. And they look shambolic at the back. I said, and that's why it's called gambling. I said, so go put them in the Yankee, Tottenham, Aston Villa. I said, put them in the Yankee. And what was the other one? It was quite an obvious one. It was either Liverpool or Man United, or it might have been the City away at Wolves anyway. I said, there you're 4, and they all come up. So I said, but sod's law. When I spoke to him Saturday night, sod's law. I said, if I'd have had a punt, I said I probably would have come unstuck. But maybe I should start taking my advice and have a cheeky Yankee every now and again. Do you know what I mean? But they fell into that category again. Ipswich, idealism, and he just ain't got the players to do it. He just ain't got the players to do it. And what'll happen is, see what he's trying to do. He's trying to be, a decent, media-friendly, clever politician manager, rather than thing. And it's as I found out, the Mark cost, it's a results business. And you got to get results, and you can't try, because I did try, make a silk purse out of a sow's ear.
Tricky to do, I imagine.
Yeah.
Not imagine. I know it is, because you've told me often enough. Right, we'll have to leave it there for this episode. So thank you again, everybody. We'll hopefully be back next week for another. Please share this with everyone you know that's interested in football, or even if they're not interested in football, let them have a look, listen, and share and subscribe. Thank you very much from me.
Thanks for your time, Rob, and thanks everyone that's watched. Please continue to watch, like, share, subscribe. And if you do happen to see a rerun of any of the games, look for the coaching points that I've mentioned, and you'll see what I mean by marking on the wrong side, or not being close enough together as a unit, etc., etc. Anyway, thanks everyone. See you next time.